Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Motivational Intelligence Podcast, where we take you inside the minds of some of the world's most extraordinary people. I'm Sean Johnson, and I'm recording this on a snowy Rochester day in December. But no matter what time of year you're listening to this, the topic is an important one if you're trying to improve the quality of your life. In this episode, I'm sitting down with John Casey to talk about what so many people set and then fail to stick to, New Year's resolutions. In true John Casey fashion, to understand how innately human New Year's resolutions are, we actually dig into the origins 4,000 years ago with the Babylonians. We talk about the importance of honest, deep reflection on the past year before you even go about setting your New Year's resolutions, the top 10 reasons they fail, and how you can avoid those pitfalls so that you stick with yours this year for the whole year. We'd love to hear some of your tips and tricks on setting and sticking to New Year's resolutions too, so let us know on LinkedIn, and we'll be happy to share the best ones with the rest of the audience. Until next time, enjoy this episode and get ready to absolutely crush the new year. You got this.
The Motivational Intelligence Podcast is produced by the team at 2Logical. 2Logical is an international corporate training firm and the world's leading expert in motivational intelligence, which is the ability to understand, manage, and change the motives people have. 2Logical offers over 30 different keynotes, workshops, and full training courses to small, medium, and large Fortune 500 companies in 53 countries, a lot of which you're probably familiar with: Pfizer, Bank of America, GE, Constellation Brands, P&G, and more. All solutions are completely customized, and the feedback from these sessions will blow your mind. If you have any training or speaking needs or just want to say hey, head over to 2logical.com.
All right, John, we're getting to that time of the year. It's December. We're feel like this time of year people are much more reflective, thinking about past year, thinking about the year ahead. So that's kind of where I wanted to focus our conversation today. What do you think?
Yeah. We can talk about the old man or the baby.
The old man or the baby?
Wow, the old man being this year, and of course the baby being next year.
I like that. Okay. All right, maybe we'll talk about both the old man and the baby.
Yeah.
So one thing that obviously is a big topic for people this time of year is a lot of people seem to set New Year's resolutions. I want to lose weight. I want to, work out more. I want to eat better. I want to save more money, all those kinds of things. Why should we even think about doing this? Because I think it's something that people, even when they do it, I feel like it's kind of half-assed a lot of times where they're like, oh yeah, this year I'll eat healthier or something, but they're not really emotionally invested in it or anything. They're not really putting the time in to reflect on what do I really want to accomplish this year. So why should we even take the time to really reflect about that and think about that?
Well, it's a pretty good question to start with, Sean, and you know what? There's a great answer. There's a very simple answer as to why we should all set New Year's resolutions. And the answer is because it's easy. We can just take last year's. Kidding aside.
It's work's already done.
Yeah, exactly. We've already thought of it. Didn't do it last year. We'll just reboot it. Only about 12% of people that set New Year's resolutions actually achieve them.
Wow,
so,
is that small?
88%.
Yeah, I guess you could probably guess that just by looking at the parking lot at the gym, usually in January versus March.
Well, if some folks actually thought, the New Year started February 1st, and that's when they would start their gym membership, they could actually park in the front row because most people that did it January 1st, and you can't get a parking spot first week in January, but you can first week in February. So. And we're going to delve into why it's not as common as it should be.
Yeah.
But, to really start the conversation about resolutions, we have to go back about 4,000 years. It was the first evidence we have is the Babylonians.
Really?
About 4,000 years ago. They had resolutions. Their new year began in mid-March, which was the actual, birth of the year with, plants and
Okay,
stuff
was it like the
coming
spring
back to life.
solstice?
It was
okay.
the middle of March.
Okay.
Middle of March. And that was the time of year where they kept their reigning king or named a new one. And they also, at this time, promised their gods that they would pay their debts and return objects that they had borrowed. So, those are two good things to think about that, heck, maybe we should pick those instead of, getting more fit.
Yeah.
We might be able to do them. And there's then evidence a couple thousand years after that, during Julius Caesar's time, where he declared that January 1st would be the beginning of the year. And that, of course, as you probably know, is the month of January is named after the Roman god Janus, who was a two-faced god who was looking both forward and backwards.
Really?
And that's the Roman god. They named the month January after that Roman god, looking forward and back. So there you have
Yeah, I
some-
totally knew that.
Yeah, you're the phone a friend, everybody, which they had,
Yep.
because you just got that
It's
nickel
all up
knowledge.
here.
And so, what they often did in Roman times, and we have documentation of this, that they made promises of good behavior for the year to come. So there's a long history of making New Year's resolutions. And there's also some more recent research about why it's beneficial. So research shows that, making resolutions can be quite useful, and people who make them are 10 times more likely to attain their goals than people who don't make any.
10 times?
10 times. And here's the simple reason. As you know from our business, we talk a lot about human potential and how the mind works, and it's how it's the most powerful supercomputer we'll ever use in our lives. However, we're never trained how to use it. Don't get the operating manual. But clearly we have so many thoughts a day, and that number is about 60,000. Our mind ignores most of them, except for the ones we repeat. So, our conscious mind all day long while we're awake is having all these thoughts popping in and out, and our subconscious mind, which is actually the plan builder, the architect that creates the plan to get what we want or what it thinks we want, that never sleeps. So at night when we sleep, that subconscious mind that's kind of been in the background operating, collecting stuff, goes through the memories of the day, decides what to keep and what to throw away. It bases the decision not on value or helping out our lives. It bases the decision on number of reps. How many times have we actually thought about this?
Yeah.
So whatever we allow to dominate our mind, the subconscious thinks is important and begins to build a plan to bring into our lives.
That's what it's going to work on.
The making a resolution, thinking about it, writing it, talking about it, those are all repetitions that increase the likelihood of it happening. But most people don't, follow the right guidelines on how to, set those proper goals or resolutions. But this time of year, psychologically speaking, is because it naturally brings us to self-reflection. We think about what was good about the year. We review the moments that were difficult, and anything in between. And the beginning of a new year can certainly represent a fresh, clean slate with newfound hope and motivation. So, the timing, it couldn't be better. So, if we just kind of follow the guidelines, we could probably all maybe join the 12% that actually can accomplish.
Yeah, maybe we could try to bump that percentage up a bit.
Yeah.
So, all right. So there's obviously, 10 times is a big number. I didn't even realize it was that much. But, there seems to be, and we know through all the research of, around goal setting that what kind of benefits are people have from setting goals and setting New Year's resolutions are just that. It's a different word for a goal for the year. But what we recognize is like you said, only 12% of people actually achieve them. So why is the other 88% failing?
Yeah. Well, first of all, before we get to the top 10 reasons.
The top 10.
There's a top 10. No, there's always a top 10,
Yeah.
of course, as you know. Or top 7 or 12. Most people have not developed a proper habit of reflection, and it should be a daily habit, and it should be patterned. It should be done at a similar time, a similar way. So, you and I know because of our training and where we work that the best way to reflect is first ask ourselves 3 questions in the right sequence. And the first question is, what have I done well? Where did I have success? Where did I grow? Where did I learn? And this first question is often overlooked. Naturally, people have trained themselves to go to what's wrong, or what did I screw up, or what mistakes were made. But no, the first question is actually, what did I do well? What worked? Where did I have success? And really spending some time and energy on that question to know where we grew.
Yeah.
And, just answering that question increases our level of confidence, which then prepares us for the second question, which is, what didn't I do well? What did I avoid? Because we've raised our confidence with the first question, we now can actually look at what some people call negative feedback, which is not necessarily negative if we learn from it. So we have to look at that coin, and we have to answer that question. And then, of course, the third question, writes itself. What can I do differently moving forward? So we can reflect specifically to our health, to our fitness, to our career, to our financial goals and objectives using those same 3 questions. So, that's one of the first steps that people just kind of overlook, slowing themselves down and reflecting on the year.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people just jump to the year ahead and they'll kind of blindly set goals or resolutions. I feel like a lot of times even just on what they think they should be, as opposed to what's really reflective of where they are in their lives and what they really want. Everybody just picks the eat healthier or lose weight kind of thing because it's what they should do without really reflecting on how did I do with that this past year? Why didn't I do it this past year?
Yes, we call that the resolution du jour. Whatever other people are talking about, and it's a Me Too thing, jumping on a bandwagon, and
right.
It's not a personalized, customized approach that way, and it's general and vague.
Yeah, and I feel like in something that is more general and vague, and it's just whatever everybody else is talking about. So yeah, we'll jump on that bandwagon and adopt that one too. It's hard to get excited about those ones.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. There's reasons we can make our resolutions, however trivial to others, more vivid in our own mind.
Yeah. So I think before we go to why people fail, just to go to the reflection piece. The first step really is reflecting on the past year and using those 3 questions: what I do right, what I do wrong, what can I do differently this coming year. Are there specific areas, and you mentioned a couple of them, but it might be good to give people a little bit of structure around, like, what are the areas of life that they should be thinking about and reflecting on, where they're thinking about and using those questions to reflect? Yeah,
you bet. And these are in no particular order, and they may be prioritized differently by the person. But clearly, if we're in the workforce, we should be reflecting on our career.
Yeah.
That does finance a lot of the other areas of our lives, so that should definitely be an area we reflect on. Our health, our physical health. Without that, what else matters? So that clearly is an area that I think people need to more have targeted reflections around. Personal finances. This day and age, we all have to pay attention to that, and there's so many tools and ways to do better in those arenas. And I think maybe the fourth one is relationships. You know, how are we doing in our relationships as a friend or as a partner or spouse or a parent or child, for that matter?
Yeah.
And what areas might we need to improve, or where have we improved in those areas? So I think those are probably the big four.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So after we reflect in those four areas, we think about our career, we think about our personal finances, we think about our health, we think about our relationships, what I do right, what I do wrong, what can I do differently this coming year. We have the 12% that once they set their New Year's resolutions, they'll actually follow through and achieve it. Why do the other 88% fail?
Yeah. Well, so here's 10 things that, are reasons why resolutions can fail, but they are also can be turned into actual best practices.
Oh, perfect.
So here we go. A lot of people will treat their resolution like a sprint when in fact it's a marathon, and that's why the first week in January, they go to the gym 3 or 4 times, and it's just hard to sustain because that's not a habit in their lives yet.
You find that with you crash dieting or dieting like that. People do that all the time where they go completely to an extreme for a period of a few weeks, which they're not going to be able to sustain, and then they fall, and that's why probably why diets don't work either is they'll do this extreme thing for a week or a couple weeks, and then they'll drop the weight, and then it's not sustainable, so they'll put it right back on.
Sean, the turtle is not sexy. The rabbit is.
Yeah.
Slow and steady is not, in fact, sexy, and it may even feel like there's no change. But small changes stick better because they are not intimidating. If weight loss or fitness is the goal, just focus on a simple habit each week. Hey, week number 1. I'm just going to drink more water.
Yeah, that's it.
And you do that for 7 days in a row. By the way, it's pretty easy. And then, the next week, while you're continuing with the water, I'm just going to, go for a walk. I'm going to get up 10 or 15 minutes earlier and go for a walk first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Working that in. Then week 3, as we're carrying along with the water and the walking, I'm going to work one more veggie into my day for nutrition. So, that's really the way to go. And those knee-jerk yo-yo reactions cannot be sustained.
Yeah, and I think we can circle back around to this later, but I think that's something I know for myself that I've realized is I know for myself I tend to get into a place where once I get into that reflective state of thinking about all these different areas of my life and where I want to improve, I get impatient and I want to, and I think about where I want to go, and I want to go do all of them at the same time, and it just becomes overwhelming, and it's too many things, and none of them stick.
Yeah, and you're freaking other people out too.
Yeah,
so, there's enough stress in the first quarter.
Yeah,
we don't need to do that, and that brings us to the second one, which is a lot of people put the cart before the horse. I don't know what the automobile reference is to that, but instead of trying to do everything, kind of like you just mentioned, really focusing on just the few simple things that will produce the overwhelming amount of results. If it's not important, don't worry about it. Most people get caught up in paying attention to all the noise that's out there versus the 2 or 3 things I should really be thinking about and doing.
Yeah.
As in, drinking a lot more water, walking more, and eating more veggies.
Yeah.
It's just a handful of things that will usually produce the results. So let's just focus on those, identify those, focus on those, and forget everything else.
Yeah, it's the signal and the noise, which I think now especially is we're getting hit with so much. The amount of information we have access to and are getting pinged with and emailed and texted and all that kind of stuff, every day is overwhelming. So I think that definitely becomes more difficult for people to kind of find that signal of what are those couple things, and they just get distracted with whatever the new shiny thing is in front of them.
You know, Sean, the world is competing for your eyeballs and your earballs.
Yeah.
I don't think we have actual earballs, but I think you got the point.
Yeah.
So number 3, this is a big one. People don't believe in themselves. They don't believe they're actually up to the task, or they do not believe they are worthy of the results that the completing the resolution will bring them.
All right, so those are two, kind of like a part A, part B in regards to the self. What do you mean by? Well, it's I guess fairly straightforward. With they don't believe that they can. How do they overcome that piece of it where they set a goal, and I guess first, how do they recognize that that's what's going on? That they set this goal. How do they recognize that maybe I don't really fully believe that I can do this?
Yeah, it's you can't just hand somebody a plan.
Yeah, be nice if you could.
Yeah, I know. And by the way, they're out there. Just there's so many how-to books.
Yeah.
That nobody ever plugs in. So why is that? Obviously, whoever wrote the plan or wrote the book did it. That's the way they did it.
Right.
So why can't people just do it the way they did? Clearly there's a lot going on with that, but if you've tried and failed in the past, maybe there's something to that. You didn't believe you could. You started strong, and then it just went away, and then you convince yourself, "Oh, I couldn't do that anyways."
Yeah.
So trying and failing are examples of not necessarily believing enough in yourself.
Yeah.
And it's an unconscious thing too. It's not necessarily the top of mind that this is all going on.
Yeah, and the second part of it that I wanted to drill down on a little bit more is you mentioned worthiness. People don't believe that they're worthy of the result. What do you mean by that?
Well, nobody in my family's ever done anything like that, and I don't. I'm too old. I'm too young. I'm a man or a woman. There's so many reasons that we could pay attention to that prevent us from actually starting. I wouldn't know what to do if I looked like that or had that kind of, wealth. I would waste it. It would change me. There's so many convoluted. People are always selling themselves something.
Yeah.
And sadly, most are selling themselves short. We've got a solution for that we're going to get to a little bit later. But self-doubt and fear are the greatest paralyzers in human history, and they're imaginary. And again, so what if you failed at a past goal or a resolution? Everybody has. So what? It's not that big deal. It's not something that should cripple us.
Yeah.
So we've got some solutions coming.
All right. I like solutions.
So number 4, too much thinking. Not enough doing, the old analysis paralysis thing. You don't need a gym membership or a new outfit to get started. You could just take a walk. So some people have to get all the variables lined up and organized and structured, and usually those things are just avoidance things to get that from.
Yeah.
So
start small.
Brian Tracy has a great quote. He says, do the thing and you'll get the energy to do the thing. So just start.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. I'm a big fan of the 5-minute rule, whether it's a project at work or a project at home, a home improvement project or whatever, or working out. Just say to yourself, I'm just going to do this for 5 minutes, and after 5 minutes, I can give myself permission to stop. It's the 5-minute trick. And by the way, once you get in motion, you create more energy, which creates more motion, which then starts to fuel itself. So,
Yeah.
Especially if you go for a walk for 5 minutes away from your home, then at least you got another 5 minutes coming back. So, so it doubles your. But the 5-minute rule works because then you get started, and that creates some more emotion. That creates more emotion and so forth. So, do the thing. You get the energy to do the thing. Sometimes just starting is a key.
Yeah, and I think setting those expectations where it takes the intimidation factor out of it. I've heard, I can't remember the author, but there was an author that I was listening to an interview with that, they were talking about their writing process and, do they give themselves a quota every day to how much to write? And they said one crappy page. One crappy page a day is my quota, and that's it. If all I got to do is sit down and do one crappy page, it could be complete garbage, and I might throw it out afterwards. But that's all my quota is. And the reality is, once you sit down and you start writing, you end up with 10 pages.
Yeah, and then you run a lot farther.
Yeah.
It's funny. That's such a common artistic trick. Jerry Seinfeld is famous for continuing to write one joke a day, and then he puts an X on the calendar. And he's got all his old calendars going back now, decades.
Wow.
So he's kept to the craft.
Yeah.
And just one joke a day.
One joke a day.
And often he writes more than that, of course. But
right.
And that's why he doesn't have to. But
he certainly doesn't have to.
He doesn't have to go out and do stand-up to earn a living. But he still does because he's got so many jokes.
Yeah.
And he loves the process. So being too much in a hurry is the fifth thing, and remind ourselves if it was quick and easy, everybody would have done it. There are no magic pills or fixes, and remember, 88% give up. So this is not an easy thing. We can't be in too much of a hurry. Closely tied to that is number 6, and that is people don't enjoy the process.
Yeah.
They don't enjoy the writing or the coming up with a joke or that, or stretching out and getting ready to go exercise or whatever it is. And it's certainly easy to understand that people struggle when they see their resolution as a chore or a bore.
Yeah.
If that's what you think it is,
that's what it's going to be.
You're gonna naturally tend to avoiding it. So the best plan is one that causes the least interruption to our daily life. And the goal of setting a resolution isn't supposed to add stress. It's supposed to remove it.
Yeah.
So the best of us couldn't bring ourselves to do something we hate consistently. So make getting in shape or nutrition or save more money, make it fun.
Yeah.
Whether it's participating in a sport or hobby you love, or giving yourself, or asking a friend to join us, or an exercise class, or an investing group, or a book reading group. Depending on what your goal is, and you can give yourself permission to give yourself, if you're an exercise regimen person, a free day each week where you can decide to do whatever type of exercise that you want. And if fitness is, get a dog. I mean, that's because the dog will love you more than most other people do, and you will want to love the dog in return and take it outside. So, not only getting a dog makes us fitter if we walk it, it makes us live longer too. So. That's probably going to be a solution that we work into other podcasts as well.
Right.
Just get a dog.
Just get a dog.
In the end, get a dog.
Yeah.
So another thing, Sean, that challenges folks is trying too hard too soon. And unless you want extreme punishment, don't deprive yourself of pleasure and little incremental rewards. If you're telling yourself, I can't have this, I can't do that, the more you're going to want it.
Yeah.
So, as long as you're making positive choices 80 to 90% of the time, you're really making progress. So indulge every once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, just from a nutrition standpoint, you see a lot about cheat days, where people say, all right, I'll stick to it, and I'm gonna eat healthy, but once a week, or either, 1 day a week or one meal a week, I can have whatever I want. I can indulge myself. I can have all the cookies and the cakes and the pizza and all that I want. And I think that helps people stick to it, because it's not, I can never have a slice of pizza again.
Right.
I can never have a cupcake again. It's like, I just got to wait 2 days.
And what they have found is that people that give themselves a permission slip to go off, I guess, the rules, they do it far less than they kind of monitor themselves better.
Yeah.
Then they go way over the top.
Yeah. Well, when they feel like it's not that far away, they're probably just thinking about it less.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and that actually brings us to number 8, which is, people that don't fulfill their New Year's resolutions. One of the reasons is they don't track their progress. These big resolutions that most people make cannot be impacted greatly right away. But if we track our progress, like how many steps we're taking, or weighing ourselves, or keeping track of calories, just little things like that, we can find little levers that we can pull to make us feel good. And all you need is a notebook and a pen.
Yeah.
We talked in one of our other podcasts about keeping a gratitude journal, or a gratitude list, and the more you write and track, just like writing or rewriting your resolutions, you really engage your mind a whole lot more. So that tracking your progress helps on a couple different levels. So that's the 8th.
Yeah, well, I think especially for typically if we're talking about New Year's resolutions, we're talking about a goal for the year. So so it's a fairly long time horizon, where it'd be different if it was a goal for the day. But if you're setting a goal for the year, it's going to take you a year to get there. And I could with that long of a time horizon, it's, if you don't feel like you're making progress and you feel like it's still so far away and you're still in the same spot, inevitably you're just gonna forget it.
Yeah. Yeah, that becomes the easy choice. You are correct. Which brings us to number 9. Those that fail often have no social support. And obviously it can be very difficult to stay motivated when you really feel like you're on your own, or you're alone. But you're not. There's so many people that are probably working on the same objectives you are, facing some of the same challenges that you are.
Yeah.
And two heads are better than one. And having a mastermind group of whether it's through Facebook or LinkedIn, where you find people, including your friends and colleagues, that may be sharing a similar objective, or heck, just finding an accountability buddy.
Yeah.
Who shares some of the same things, and positively encouraging each other is a wonderful way to have another level of support in addition to what you're carrying around in your own head.
Yeah, it's the wave behind you that can help lift you up.
So, and lastly, and I think this is a big linchpin as well. You know your what, but you don't know your why.
Best for last.
Yeah. You know what it is you want to accomplish, but you may not necessarily know why you want it. So, for example, if you want to get fit, lose weight, or be healthy, why is that important? Why is that important? Is it because you want to be a positive example to your children? You want to feel more confident at work? If you're single, more sexy. What is the why?
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just to have more clarity and energy. As you age into another decade, or whatever it is. Reminding yourself and knowing your why is a huge thing, and we'll talk a little bit more about how to best do that when we get to our last part here about how do we best stick to these resolutions.
Well, yeah, and I remember, I don't know if it was maybe it was you who told me a story, or somebody I've heard a story, and maybe it's a famous example, but of the father trying to quit smoking, and can't seem to get himself to quit smoking, and he tries the patches and all that kind of stuff, and I know you've talked about this before, but what kind of clicks it for him is finally when his daughter comes and says, "Please stop smoking. I want you to walk me down the aisle at my wedding."
Yeah, no, that's...
And then he threw him out and never smoked again.
No, I'm going to start using that story, though. But you can certainly credit me that. I've actually got a different one, and it's a recent one. It just happened a couple of months ago. And he was a participant in one of my programs. He works for one of our clients. His name is Mike Cordova, and as most folks know, at Two Logical, we always focus on development on two levels: the attitude mindset level, which is often overlooked, and then the skill set activity or process level. And most people that want change, they want positive change and evolution, they focus only at the action level, the process level, the activity level, and they don't focus at the attitude or mindset level. So, in some of my trainings, I'll use the example, for people that are trying to quit smoking, kind of like you pointed out. They don't focus on the mindset attitude piece. They focus on the skill set process piece, and that's why they use the patches or the gum. Mm-hmm. I remember somebody I knew used to carry around a bag of lollipops, so they wouldn't put a cigarette in their mouth. They'd put a lollipop in their mouth, and those are not bad techniques, I guess, but they're avoiding the root cause of what keeps people addicted to smoking, and it's the mental addiction. The physical addiction, after we process chemicals, through our system, which happens over the course of a day and a half or so, the physical addiction starts to wane very, very quickly. But the mental addiction is what is the main culprit. Because I suspect a cigarette smoker, their very first thought in the morning is, I love the first cigarette in the morning, and they probably have that thought pop into their head before they get out of bed, because they've programmed it there. They've set it to themselves so many times that it's now on autopilot. It's just, the play button. When they wake up, that thought is the first thought they have. And then maybe their 19th thought is, I love to smoke after I eat. And then 34th thought is, I love to smoke when I drive. And then I love to smoke after a meeting. And I love to smoke after a lunch. And I love to smoke when I'm outside. I love to smoke when I'm drinking beer. I love to smoke when I'm watching sports. So all these thoughts that they have carefully crafted and reinforced over their years of being a smoker, they're now embedded. They are part of their operating system. And if those thoughts are not replaced or beaten down, they will remain. And that's why the mental addiction is so much harder to kick than the physical addiction. So I'm telling this story at a program a couple of months ago, and there was a guy in the audience, and this was a 2-day program, and on the morning of our second day, we go around the room and everybody shares their takeaways from the program, from the first day of the program. And this guy, Mike, says, my takeaway is I'm a non-smoker now. And I go, what? He goes, yeah, I quit smoking yesterday afternoon. And I go, no kidding. And he goes, yeah. He goes, when we took our afternoon break, I was going to go outside and have a cigarette like I did this morning. And, I had one cigarette left and thought about what you said. And I just said, nah, I'm not going to have it. And as a matter of fact, I threw the pack out with the one cigarette left in it. He goes, and I'm driving home last night, and I text my wife, and she says to bring something home. So I stop at the convenience store, and I caught myself grabbing a pack of cigarettes because I knew I didn't have any, and I caught myself, and I said, no, I'm not gonna. And I just grabbed what I needed, and so that evening, did not have a cigarette, and I can't smoke in the house anyways, so I have to go outside. And my wife asked me to run out and fill up the car with gas, and I ran out, and again I caught myself, and I didn't do it. The next morning, I woke up, I had the thoughts, I replaced them with something else, and, long story short, I've been battling these thoughts all day long since I've been in this room and I'm replacing them with the right ones. And he goes, I am a non-smoker. And I go, you got to keep repeating that. That's your goal.
Yeah,
So,
that's such a great level of awareness for him to say, I'm a non-smoker.
yeah.
Not I'm trying to quit smoking or
Yeah,
I'm a non-smoker.
And I told him, I said, listen, if people that say, I hope, I wish, I will, they're using the future tense. And the mind ignores the future tense. We have to say things in the present positive tense. I am a non-smoker. I have completed a marathon. I weigh, whatever your ideal weight is. Long before you've actually accomplished those objectives, the mind will embrace them and start to help you. So
there's the famous Muhammad Ali. He's quoted, obviously, I am the greatest, but there's the quote by him that says, he says, I said I am the greatest well before I knew I was.
Well, yeah, and his mother had planted that thought in his head.
Oh, really?
She wanted him not to drop out of school and become a gangbanger and become a criminal. And she thought if he believed he was the greatest, that he would, take the right path. She did not realize what it eventually led to.
Yeah.
So that's a famous story, and so back to Mike. I sent him an email a couple of days later and said, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
And he wrote back a nice note, and he said, hey, listen, it's now been a week. And by the way, the weekend was really tough because it was my birthday, and my wife threw me a surprise party.
Oh.
And he goes, I was drinking, and I was around some of the usual suspects, all the triggers.
Yep.
And he goes, I held myself accountable, and I did it. And
that's great.
So it's a neat story about the power of the human mind and what we can help ourselves if we actually focus on those two levels.
Yeah.
So, here are some additional techniques about how to stick to New Year's resolutions. The first one is to set a clear and specific goal. I want to make more money, doesn't work. I want to lose weight, doesn't work. I want a new car, doesn't work. I want a better relationship in this area of my life. It doesn't work. Those are general and vague, and our mind ignores generalities because our mind is really smart. It knows that nothing ever happens in general, only specifics happen.
Yeah.
So being clear and specific with what it is we want to accomplish is the most important thing because our mind will embrace it. And here's another great best practice that we share a lot. We've all set and accomplished goals. We have all brought plans to fruition in our lives. As a matter of fact, every strength that we now have was once a weakness. And, most people have thousands of things they're good at, thousands of strengths. So over the course of our life, we have turned weaknesses into strengths thousands of times. We're actually really good at doing this if we just give ourselves credit and actually remind ourselves. And it's a simple thing. Make a list of the things you're really good at doing. Because at one point you sucked at doing those things.
Yeah.
So ask yourself, how did I get good at these things? What was my attitude? What did I do? So what were my dominant thoughts and beliefs about this objective, this thing that I'm now good at? What did I do at the attitude and mindset level? What did I do at the skill set, activity, process level to make this a strength in my life? We don't have to make stuff up. All we got to do is look into our own journey and find that we have done this a lot.
Yeah.
So that really takes that reflection exercise to a much higher level. How did we do it on two levels? Because when we move forward with a New Year's resolution, we've got to build our plan on two levels. Not just what we're going to do at the action level. How are we going to use affirmation? An affirmation is anything we repeat. How are we going to use visualization? How are we going to use reflection? These are the things that happen at the attitude mindset level that people overlook when they're building a plan. That's the most important step. Build that plan at the mindset attitude level. What do you say to yourself over and over again about the resolution? How can you create consciously the optimal, most positive statement that you can repeat over and over again?
Yeah, part of the reason I think Mike was able to stick to that is he kept saying, I'm a non-smoker.
Yeah. Yep. And, he did have children, and he did, he was a former athlete, and he did want physical fitness back. And there was a lot of whys that I helped him bring out. So he's got those things that he can point to. So back to building this 2-level plan. Obviously, building the right mindset attitude is the precursor of success or failure. Having that optimal mindset is that success generator, if you will. But then you got to put items on your to-do list, new actions that you can start to take to get you a little bit closer to that resolution. And making a daily to-do list is a great habit. Again, pen and pad is all you need. And I would put stuff on the to-do list that wouldn't take much more than 15 or 20 minutes to do.
Keep it simple.
Yeah. If you put something on your to-do list that takes you 2 hours to do, you're going to put it off.
Yeah.
So really breaking it down into small chunks is another best practice. So another example of how to create that why that we've already talked about is to simply make a T-chart on a piece of paper, and on the left-hand column, make a list of all the ways in which your life will improve if you accomplish the resolution.
The whys.
This helps us leverage the self-enhancement motivational driver. There's 2 drivers of human behavior. One is self-enhancement, making a list of how your life will improve once the resolution is accomplished is fuel. And then on the other side of the T-chart, what pains will I avoid after my resolution is achieved? So you're using the self-enhancement lever as well as the self-preservation lever. So both sides of that coin to really drive the why.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of people will try to avoid a loss even more than they will try to gain a benefit. So I think that's and maybe in developing that, all the reasons that maybe people have thought about, all the reasons to do it, all the ways that their life would improve, but maybe haven't thought about what loss will I avoid by doing this, because that preservation instinct, I think, kicks in is a major driver for people.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Another neat exercise that we recommend that folks can do is try to create, build, write. What does a great day look like? It could be a work day, it could be a non-work day, but what does a great day look like? And make it clear and specific with steps. How would it flow? What would it look like? And of course, within that is where would you take the steps that would bring you closer to your resolution? Yeah. And in the end, like calls to like. So if we have a clear picture of what a great day looks like, we're going to be drawn towards it. And by the way, if we don't know what a great day looks like, how will we know if we ever have one?
Yeah.
So like calls to like, and the power of goal setting and resolution setting is profound, because the example that we all know and have lived is that when you're thinking about a new vehicle, a new car or truck, and you think about it over and over again, you start to recognize that vehicle everywhere you go.
See it everywhere.
And it's not an accident. It's like calling to like, and it wasn't because they were just recently put there as a marketing ploy to get your business. They were already there, and you missed them.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's you feel like you see so many more car ads when you're looking for a car. They haven't changed,
and they know that. That's why they're doing it.
Exactly.
There's so many ways to really help increase the likelihood of us moving into the 12% and out of the 88% of those that don't. And here's the last thought about New Year's resolutions or resolutions in general. Any day is a good day to start, whether it's the beginning of a week, the beginning of a month. How about the beginning of any day?
Yeah.
That is a good time to start. You don't have to wait for the calendar to turn. You just have to start. And too soon and too often is better than too late and not enough.
Do the thing and you'll get the energy to do the thing.
Simple quotes. Sometimes that's all we got. And, why not?
Yeah.
Why not use those to fuel ourselves? And, I do a lot of this myself. I go, all right, John, just give yourself 5 minutes. 5 minutes, you can start. You can quit. You can quit after 5 minutes.
Yep.
One bad page or one joke.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Really distilling it down
Just
to,
get started.
to simplicity, I think is one of the keys. And, some of the other techniques that we've talked about are also there to help you. And by the way, remind yourself, you've done it before. You can do it again.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, John. To everybody listening, if there's anything we can do to help you crush 2020, let us know.
You bet.
Hey guys, one more thing before you take off. This is Motivational Intelligence Insider. It's just a very short, exclusive email every Monday that comes from Dave, John, and the guests on this show. This is the only place they share their very, very best stuff, and it's delivered right to your inbox every single Monday. This could include exclusive tips for upping your game, articles they're reading, videos they're watching, stories from the road, and on and on. It's the best way to kick off your week, and this content comes directly from Dave, John, and the guests, and is only available to subscribers of Motivational Intelligence Insider. So if you want these guys and gals to email you their best stuff, go to 2logical.com/insider. That's the number 2logical.com/insider, and drop in your email. And if you do, I hope you enjoy it.
The Motivational Intelligence Podcast is produced by the team at 2Logical. 2Logical is an international corporate training firm and the world's leading expert in motivational intelligence, which is the ability to understand, manage, and change the motives people have. 2Logical offers over 30 different keynotes, workshops, and full training courses to small, medium, and large Fortune 500 companies in 53 countries, a lot of which you're probably familiar with: Pfizer, Bank of America, GE, Constellation Brands, P&G, and more. All solutions are completely customized, and the feedback from these sessions will blow your mind. If you have any training or speaking needs or just want to say hey, head over to 2logical.com.